Each week, we get closer to a return to normal as restrictions lift and more people get the vaccine. But even though this past year has been full of hardships, it's also given people the opportunity to slow down and take stock of what really matters. So many people are now mourning a return to old routines. Joining us with more on how to hold on to the positive as we move forward is licensed family therapist Esther Boykin. Great to have you here with us this morning, Esther. First, I want to ask you, what can people do if they feel pressure about being excited about a return to normal?
It's so good to be here. So I think that's probably one of the first things I hear most often is feeling like you're supposed to match the emotions that are around you or that you assume other people have. And so I think the most important thing is to make space for all of your feelings. Just as there was probably a complicated set of feelings at the beginning of this period of time, moving back to going to school and to work and all of the ways that that's going to change a routine that you've created is stressful. And so there may be parts you're excited about, but it's also okay if you're not excited or even grieving sort of what you're going to lose as we move back into quote unquote normal life.
Now, why do you think people are anxious about things going back to the way they were?
So I think for a lot of people, we sort of have missed. We talk so much about going back to normal that we've missed the fact that this is our new normal currently. And so for a lot of people, it's that giving up what you've created. That's change and uncertainty is really uncomfortable for us as human beings. And so just as it was jarring a year ago when we were locking down and trying to figure out what to do, this idea of now having to go back to being in your office, taking kids to school, just back to kind of the hustle and bustle we all remember is going to be equally jarring, and that's okay. The good news is we do have a little more control over what that looks like than we did a year ago.
Okay, so what is your advice for those who want to continue being able to rest more and live at a slower pace instead of going back to the hustle and bustle of the old routine?
I have been saying to people quite often, there is actually no going backwards. Life only moves forward. And so that even though we talk about going back to normal, it's important to recognize we're actually moving forward into another phase. And so where you can exercise some control, be open, be honest, don't be afraid to, even if everyone else is super excited about going back to certain routines, if you're not, say that and look for ways that you can bring some of what's been good for you over the last 12 months into whatever your new routines are going to look like.
Okay, so what about people who are feeling like the end of quarantine means missed opportunities?
So I also hear that quite a bit. And my position and what I want to remind everyone is we're not at the end of like a vacation where we're disappointed that, we didn't get up earlier to watch the sunrise. We are 12, 13 months into a global pandemic. We've surviving this time is an accomplishment in and of itself. It's been really challenging for a lot of different reasons, emotionally, in terms of health, grieving, financial impact, all of those things. And so when you have that voice coming up that's like, oh, I wish I had learned to bake bread or cleaned out my closet, remind yourself that just getting up and kind of making it through this time that is so uncertain and so unprecedented was already an accomplishment.
Okay, last question for you. What if it's more than just dreading a return to the office or a busy schedule? What if someone's anxiety is keeping them up at night?
So this is actually a really important window for people to be checking in around their mental health. I think often we think in the middle of sort of crisis or trauma is when we're going to most experience the symptoms. But for a lot of people, it's as life seems to be going, quote, again, sort of back to normal, we make room for all of these feelings. So if you're finding that your anxiety is greater than it was, if it's keeping you up at night, if it's getting in the way of work or school or just enjoying your life, this is an excellent time to reach out to a therapist and get some support around that. You're not alone in those feelings, but you also deserve a lot of help and support through them.
Okay, so for our viewers, if you want to find out more information, go to grouptherapyassociates.com. Esther, great seeing you again here. Thank you for your time. Have a great rest of your day.